All right, welcome back, guys, to another video. Today, as you can see by the title, I am going to be ranking the top 10 fighters who I think will be the most successful in 2026. And the criteria I'm using is pretty simple. Just how active are they going to be? How many wins are they going to get? And what is the quality of their opponent? How good is their opponent? And if it's a championship win or if it's a contender win. And that's pretty much it. So let's get into it. First off, we got Michael Morales as our number 10 most successful fighter in 2026. I think that he's going to win one and lose one in 2026. I think he gets matched up next against Carlos Prates, who I believe he beats. I think that they're very similar stylistic fighters, but just the fact that Michael Morales is such a tank, how he can just walk through shots to give his own, I think that's going to be the reason he lands a big clean shot in Prates and puts him out. And I think that's going to shoot him up the rankings into number one and get him a title shot against Islam. But I don't think he beats Islam. I think that he's getting held against the cage on the contender series, I believe. He's not shown too good of just grappling defense in general. I know he kept his hips away from Brady, so he didn't really get taken down much at all. But Brady chose to stand with him a lot more than I thought he would, and he really only chose to shoot when he was hurt. And that really wasn't going to work with just dumb shots out in the open. You're not going to get Michael Morales down like that. And I think that Islam is extremely creative with his takedowns. He has good judo throws and judo trips. He's not just going to be going for traditional single and double legs, and that's really what's going to be the end of Michael Morales in that fight. I think that he gets subbed by Islam, but he also wins against Prates, which is going to put him as the number one contender and give him a lot of star power. So it won't really hurt him too much to lose to the champion in the division, and he will be the number 10 most successful fighter in 2026. But let's move on to number 9. I think it's going to be Khamzat Chimaev, guys. And this might come as a surprise to some of you just because Khamzat's a champion and he's so entertaining and good. But I think that he's too inactive. I think that the fact that he's probably only going to fight once is what hurts him the most and brings him down the list so much. And I think that he's going to just beat Imavov in the later half of 2026 probably, and then ride off into the sunset, and we won't see him until 2027. And he's going to probably sub Imavov in like a round or two. I think Imavov is well-rounded. He's good, but he's not going to do anything on the feet. He's not going to be able to get going, and Hamzat's going to just take him down really quickly. And the fact that Imavov is getting taken down and controlled by Brendan Allen really isn't a good sign to me. I don't think he's elite enough on the ground to stop Hamzat's grappling in any way. And I think that he's not even good enough to defend the submissions like Dricus did. And that's going to lead to him just getting subbed eventually by like a rear naked choke. And there's really nothing he can do about the back take threat. I think that it's just a different level. And Khamzat Chimaev is going to remain at the top of middleweight at the end of 2026, having fought one time. So that's that. Let's move on to our number 8 most successful fighter of 2026, and it's going to be Alex Pereira, guys. I think Alex Pereira is going to win one and then lose one, similar to Michael Morales, but he's going to be beating Carlos Ulberg. I think that he fights Carlos Ulberg next because they're not going to do a Yuri trilogy against Pereira right now. It's going to be Ulberg. He's the clear number one contender for Pereira. We see the Instagram post here by Pereira where he's not going to be fighting at heavyweight at the White House next. So I think that he's going to get matched up against Carlos Ulberg, who I think he's going to knock out pretty quickly. I think that Ulberg is very slick. He's good and he's fast, but I don't think he can really catch Pereira cleanly like that. I think that the only reason why he was actually able to knock out Dom Reyes, the reason why he was able to beat Dominic Reyes so quickly and so easily is just because Reyes isn't a super elite offensive striker. And what I mean by that is like if you look at all of his knockouts, they come from people moving forward and him being able to just find counter shots. But when they force him to move forward, he gets hit really cleanly, and his chin isn't that good. We saw him get caught coming in against Jan Blachowicz. We saw him get caught coming in against Yuri multiple times before he got finished. And we saw him get caught cleanly against Carlos Ulberg, where he got knocked out super quickly. And I think that it really isn't the best win. Like, I think that Dominic Reyes is still a bit overrated. And I think that Ulberg is just, like, I don't rate him super highly. I know he's good, but I don't rate him like some technical, elusive maestro on the feet. I think that if you don't give him much of an opportunity, he's just gonna jab and teep and kind of like point fight at range, like he did against Jan Blachowicz, and try to get a win that way. And that's not gonna work against Alex Pereira. If you're not gonna shoot a single takedown against him and just try to strike with him and outpoint him, he's gonna put you out. He's gonna back you up, hit you with big shots. You have to respect his power, and from that point on, you're just a sitting duck. He's gonna find you eventually, and I think that's what's gonna happen. And Pereira beats he beats Carlos Oberg. But I think his next fight will be at heavyweight near the end of the year. And whoever he fights, whether it's like a John Jones, which it's probably not going to be, if it's like Tom Aspinall, um, or if it's someone else, I think that if it's John Jones or Tom Aspinall, he loses both of those fights. And I think that most likely he's going to be fighting Tom Aspinall. Because if we're being real, I don't think Tom Aspinall is going to lose to Cyril Gane. But if Cyril Gane somehow does beat Aspinall in a rematch, I think that he will actually beat Cyril Gane and become the heavyweight champion, and that would be amazing. But I don't think Cyril Gane gets to the belt. So I think he's going to lose to Tom Aspinall probably by knockout, and that'll be the end of the year for Alex Pereira. He will be extremely solidified and decorated at light heavyweight, but he will lose that triple champ fight. Moving on, we have Arman Sarukian as our number seven most successful fighter of the year, and I say this very tentatively. Okay, I think it could be Sarukian, and I also think it could be Topuria. I think that lightweight is kind of a mess right now with Topuria, um, potentially having to vacate the belt. He's going through some legal issues, as you all know, and the stuff that he's caught up in with his wife is, or his ex-wife, I guess, is just it's really nasty. This case could drag on for a really long time, and I really can't rely on Ilya to even fight once this year. I think that there's a good chance Ilya Topuria has to vacate the belt and not fight at all this year. I mean, next year in 2026. And that really sucks because he's coming off that amazing, sensational knockout over Charles Oliveira. And I think that he has so much opportunity to do good work and become extremely established at lightweight as like one of the best champions ever. And it just sucks that that's getting stripped away right now with what he's going through outside the cage. And Arman Sarukian, I think, is the easily the second best guy in the division. And I think that if the UFC ends up, unless the UFC really screws him over like they've been doing in the past and decide to not give him the title shot, I believe that it'll end up being the winner of Paddy Pimblett, Justin Gaethje versus him. And if he gets screwed over and it ends up being the winner of Pimblett Gaethje versus the winner of Holloway Oliveira, that would be insane. Then I guess I'm completely wrong. But I believe that the winner, like whoever gets the interim belt in January, is going to be fighting Arman Sarukian for the vacant lightweight belt. And that'll be it. And I think that Arman Sarukian makes quick work of whoever wins the interim belt. He's easily, as I said, the second best fighter at lightweight. We saw him destroy Dan Hooker, and I think he's proven over his past 2 or 3 fights that he's going to get through the most elite fighters in the world. His ground game is unmatched at lightweight. His wrestling pedigree is insane. He has great scrambling ability, amazing control on the top, and the best ground and pound in the division. And for all these reasons, I think he destroys probably Paddy Pimblett, who's going to beat Justin Gaethje and becomes the lightweight champion. Although I don't say this super surely, but I think that this is probably the most likely outcome to happen in 2026. Moving on, I think that our number 6 most successful fighter in the UFC in 2026 is going to be Dricus du Plessis. And I say this because I don't think he's going to get the next title shot. I don't think he's going to get a title shot at all in 2026, but I think that he's going to be hungry and active and wanting to get back to the top. So I think he's going to take 2 or 3 fights probably in 2026. As crazy as that might sound, I think that he could fight maybe even 3 times. I think he's going to want to stay super active, and he's going to be beating a lot of the contenders. Some names I have in mind is I think that he'll probably beat Imavov after Imavov ends up losing to Hamzat. I think that if Baralho ends up winning his next fight, I think that he'll probably beat Baralho. I don't know who else they're going to match him up against. I actually didn't think too far into that. But I think that looking at the landscape of middleweight, I think that he beats a lot of these guys. I think he even beats Anthony Hernandez. Even though some people might disagree, I think that he does beat Anthony Hernandez just by being so powerful and having a good game planning ability. Anthony Hernandez is pretty chinny to the body, if that makes sense. He's pretty weak to the body with taking body shots in general, and I think that Dricus du Plessis will probably recognize that and hammer those body shots if they ever fight. And I really think that he's one of the best middleweights, probably the second best middleweight on the roster right now. And he's just going to rack up these good contender wins with good enough volume and great performances, and that's going to land him as our number 6 most successful 2026 fighter. And in a similar reason, I'm going to put Azamat Murzakanov at number 5. And I say this because I think that, similar to Dricus, I think that he's just going to stay active. He kind of flies under the radar as a top light heavyweight right now. But we just saw him completely slime out and destroy Alexander Rakic in a round. He has extremely good timing and precision for a light heavyweight, pretty fast as well, and his striking is extremely dangerous. And I think that he could probably even give Alex Pereira a tough test. I'd lean Pereira to beat him if they ever fought, but I think if he got to Pereira right now, I could totally see him getting an upset knockout. And that might sound crazy, but I think that Azamat Murzakanov is one of the best light heavyweights in the world. And I think that he's just going to continue to get sensational, great knockouts over these top contenders in 2026, probably fighting once or twice, and maybe getting a title shot at the beginning of 2027. And yeah, I think that I'd actually worry for Yuri if he ever fought Yuri as well. So I think very highly of Mirzakhanov's striking and his pedigree as a fighter, and I think that he's going to get 2 or 3 really good wins to solidify himself at the top of the division in 2026, and that's going to put him at our number 5 spot. But then moving on, we have Tom Aspinall at number 4, and I think that Tom Aspinall is going to remain the heavyweight champion of the world. I think that, yeah, he did get low-key jabbed up by Cyril Gane in their last fight, but first of all, it's not like Gane was completely destroying Tom Aspinall like some people like to say. He was getting slightly outstruck in the volume, but overall, he wasn't really losing the fight too much. He was landing good shots, making adjustments, getting on the inside and landing good hooks, and even popped Gane's head back right before the eye poke. Like, he was in that fight, and it was pretty competitive. He could have, if he pulled through with some good volume and some clean shots at the end of the round, he could have won that round if he never got eye poked. So, like, I don't really see Gane as some insane, like, striking maestro after his last performance where he eye poked Aspinall. I think that he's getting overrated a lot now, and I think that coming back, Aspinall's going to be pissed off, and I think that he's just going to knock out Cyril Gane. I think he's going to run through him in like a round or two and just clobber his head off. And I think that after that, he probably fights someone like Alex Pereira and beats him too. I think that against Alex, he probably can just take him down and sub him. But if not, I can see him getting a KO too, because Aspinall is extremely quick and powerful on the feet, and I think that he's faster than Alex Pereira. Even though he's a heavyweight, I still think that he would beat Alex Pereira by pretty much whatever he wants. And I'm not saying that Pereira is bad. I'm just saying that Aspinall has too many avenues to win against him, and he can just take the fight wherever he wants. So I think that Aspinall is going to end the year having beaten Gane and having beaten Alex Pereira, and that's going to put him as our number 4 best fighter of the year. Moving on, I'm going to have Tatsuro Taira at number 3. And this is kind of a sleeper, but hear me out. I think that Tatsuro Taira beats Joshua Van. And if I'm being totally honest, I don't know if Pantoja comes back in 2026. And if he does, I don't think he'll be the same fighter. So I think that Tatsuro Taira is going to have beaten Joshua Van, who I think is a bit overrated. He has great boxing and good takedown defense, but Tatsuro Taira, as I said in my last video, is the most efficient and the most creative back taker in the sport. He's insanely good at locking up a body triangle and just pounding you out. Pause. But I think that he's going to be able to do that to Joshua Van. I think that he'll be able to survive on the feet. It's not like Joshua Van has one-shot KO power, and he'll be able to get Van to the ground at points, and with that, he'll be able to find a sub or a TKO over Van, and I don't think Van is going to be ready for someone like that. And I picked against Van in his fight against Pantoja for that same reason. And I think that Taira, as the champion, his next fight is going to be against a returning Pantoja, probably at the end of 2026, if he's able to come back, which is a maybe. But if that happens, which I think it probably will happen, I think that Pantoja will not be the same fighter. I think that he's going to be a year older, having lost some confidence in his ability to take damage in general, and that's going to hurt him, and he's going to end up losing to Tatsuro Taira in an upset. I think that he's going to have lost a lot of speed. I think he probably might even get outstruck by Tatsuro Taira just because of him being faster and younger. And I think that on the ground, it'll be kind of a stalemate, but Tyro will be able to get the better of him on the ground, getting more controlling positions and being able to land good ground and pound shots. And it's going to be a decision, but I think that he's going to just constantly be able to outpace Pantoja. And I think that we're going to see Pantoja slow down. I think that he won't be the same fighter, and we're going to see Tatsuro Taira remain the champion with Pantoja being his first title defense. So, having beaten who I think is the flyweight GOAT, I'm going to put Tatsuro Taira at the number 3 spot for the best fighter in 2026. Moving on, we have Islam Makhachev at number 2. And I think that Islam Makhachev is going to be fighting twice next year. I think he's going to beat Ian Gary and then beat Michael Morales, who I mentioned earlier. And he's already the GOAT of the sport. In my opinion, he's the greatest fighter of all time. And he's going to further solidify that by beating two of the best welterweights in the world. Ian Gary, his resume has continued to improve. His win over Carlos Prates has aged amazingly after his knockout over Leon Edwards. Um, Yes, he lost to Shavkat last year around this time, but since then he's bounced back amazingly. He also beat MVP, which I think is a super underrated win, and he just beat Bilal. So like who was a former champion. So I think that Ian Gary has the strongest case to be the next title challenger for Islam, but I don't think he gets past him. I think that um, Ian Gary he has none of the tools or the X factor to be able to beat Islam. I think that he's worse than Islam everywhere. Even on the feet, I think Islam is gonna. He has much more simple striking than Ian Gary, but I think that it's more effective. I think that the way he was able to just hammer Jack Della Maddalena with low kicks was extreme. It was genius. Like Jack had no response to that, having to switch to orthodox, and like Ian Gary, like he just has no special area where he can actually really take advantage of a weakness of Islam. They're both well rounded, but I think that Islam is gonna be faster on the feet and probably even be more effective and maybe even outstrike Ian Gary, which some people might disagree with me, but that's my take. And I think that on the ground, I know that Ian Gary is good and he's been training in Oliveira's camp, but it's not good enough. I mean, we saw what Islam did to Oliveira on the ground. Like, it's not like Oliveira could really get much going. He got shut down on the ground against Islam. And I think that Ian Gary's not even to the level of Oliveira. So I think that he's really going to get controlled and punched a lot on the ground. And I think that if this doesn't go to a decision, it'll probably be a TKO finish for Islam Makhachev. And I think at the end of the year, he'll fight Michael Morales, who is going to be a scary fight for him, but I think that he'll be able to take him down and sub him as well. Finally, we have Petr Yan, and I think Petr Yan is going to be easily the most successful fighter in 2026. I believe Petr Yan is going to fight 3 times just because of how young he is, how much he wanted to get back to the top, and how much he cares about his legacy in general, which he always talks about in interviews. I think that Petr Yan is going to be fighting 3 times. I don't know against who, just because bantamweight is so like it's pretty stacked now with a lot of fresh matchups for Yan. He can rematch Corey Sandhagen. He can fight Umar. He can rematch Merab whenever Merab is ready. But I think he beats all of those. Sorry, all of those guys. I think that he's gonna beat Merab in a rematch, maybe even more definitively. I think he could get a finish, and I think that he has Merab's number now. He's figured out Merab's game and his well-rounded skill set, as well as just the fact that he's able to match Merab's pace and actually damage Merab and move forward is going to be the reason that he's going to be able to beat Merab again. And Merab really doesn't have an answer for Petr Yan's style as long as Petr Yan isn't injured. And I think that Yan beats every other guy at bantamweight, and his striking is elite. Like I think the only guy that can maybe give him some trouble is O'Malley if he fights him again. But I think that he beats O'Malley too. I think that he beat O'Malley in the first fight, honestly. And it was super close. But I think that the fact that he's able to mix in his wrestling now so well, it's better than ever. I think that O'Malley really won't have an answer for Petr Yan if he's shooting takedowns and then coming up top with overhands and then hitting him with jabs, framing, and then hitting him with big crosses. I think it would be a rough night for O'Malley as well. And I think that O'Malley is the only guy that can maybe give Petr Yan kind of a tough fight just because of how powerful and how lengthy and how good of a striker he is on the feet. But I don't know. I think that Yan is going to be solidifying himself as the greatest bantamweight of all time in 2026 and becoming a top 10 fighter of all time, probably even top 5 if he's able to bag 3 wins over top contenders and beat Marab again. And yeah, that's my list, guys. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. If you agree, if you disagree, let me know. Any comment or any opinions are appreciated. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for listening.